Blade Talk with Scab and Joe.
The American experiment requires us all to push the boundaries.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Blade Talk with Scab and Joe. Sit back, relax. We got a pretty good show here.
What is up, guys? Welcome to Blade Talk with Scab and Joe. My name is Joe from JS Bladecraft. We're going live on my channel. We're going live on Choirboyz Outdoors. I believe Don Kramer from Carnivora is probably going to be sharing it with Facebook. I think, Don, maybe. So we got a couple different outlets that you guys are seeing us in here. So we should have a pretty good room. But good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us on another Sunday morning Blade Talk, or vodcast is what they call it these days. We're going to be talking to Carnivora today. We're very happy to have Don Kramer back on with us, and Brock Woodson to meet for the first time as a new maker. So we're going to talk about Carnivora. We're going to talk about the future, the past, present, future, and talk about all the good stuff. And as always, thank you for joining us on Blade Talk. Before I bring the guests into the room, guys, as you know, with my channel and Scab's channel, our support for our U.S. veterans, awareness for veteran suicide. I coined the phrase hashtag 22 a day no more. What we're simply saying, guys, is the fact that veterans, you are welcome on our channels, welcome on Blade Talk. Relax, enjoy with us, and there's always, help if you need it, but please enjoy the time with us, and always appreciation for our active military as well. So without further ado, let's bring the boys into the room and let's get Blade Talk Sunday morning going on a Super Bowl Sunday morning. So let's get you out of this. Let's get this going and get you out so you can watch the pregame specials. So without further ado, guys, let's bring the guys into the room. Scab skipped out, but I'm going to bring you guys in. What's up, boys? Thanks for joining.
Hey, thanks for having us.
How you doing? And good morning. And I know it's very early for you, Brock.
That's all right.
7:30 for you right now?
Yep, that's okay.
It's a little painful on a Sunday. If you don't have like a day trip planned on a Sunday, it's like you have to do that early morning. It's like,
I got a 4.5-year-old, man. I'm up by 6:30 every single day, regardless. Especially on the weekends, I'll let my wife sleep in.
Or he gets you up at that time, because they tend to do that. They have a different clock than we have as adults. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah. So I think we had some technical difficulties with Scab, so we're waiting for him to get into the room. But you know what? As we start off with all of our Blade Talks, Don, we'll start with you. Introduce yourself. I'm sure a lot of people know you, but maybe people don't. Introduce yourself. Let us know who you are, what you do, and why you wake up in the morning. Tell us.
So my name's Don. Full is Don Kramer.
Don Kramer. Yeah.
I'm the lead designer for Carnivora Tools. And basically my job is making sure that all of the designers are happy. That's really it. They have what they need, and then making sure that Brock has the funding, the tools, whatever it is that he needs to get his job done. And what gets me up in the morning, that's a big part of it, honestly. Like I went to bed and then woke up and was excited because I get to talk about this. I get to tell people about all the cool stuff that everybody at Carnivora does. And so that, it's a big part of who I am as a person. Right.
Yeah. And where can we find you? I mean, you have a Facebook group.
You can find us Carnivora _ tools on Instagram. We have Facebook group, Facebook page.
Right.
I have my own personal page on Facebook. We're on Blue Sky as well, which is in beta still, but it's Jack Dorsey's Twitter replacement.
Right.
And
we're also on TikTok.
We've also got YouTube and TikTok as well.
Okay, excellent. And Scab is actually just came in, so let me bring him back in. He is backstage. All right. Scab, there you go, bud.
Welcome back.
Yeah,
Sorry about that. Had some technical difficulties. I apologize.
No worries.
Hey,
and Brock, yourself, we're doing introductions. Go ahead, Brock. Tell us about you, buddy.
All right. Well, my name's Brock Woodson. I'm a Marine Corps combat vet. I only did one tour, but I did a 9-month tour in Iraq with MARSOC unit back 06, 07. Got out, went in the reserves, did 4 in the reserves, and then got out because of family. I've been a bladesmith for about 3.5 years now. It doesn't sound like a lot, and it's really not in the world of bladesmiths, but I learned things exceedingly quick, and I'm able to see something and usually reproduce it on the first go, if not the second.
Right.
Now, I actually have had one of your blades that goes to Caldera.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, correct?
That was a prototype, yeah.
Was that for your son?
It went to my son.
Okay.
He is currently active duty in the Marine Corps. He is deploying with a MARSOC unit himself within the next week, or within the next few weeks, I should say. And he's going to the Philippines.
Okay. Wow.
And the reason he got selected, I'm pretty sure, well, there's some other reasons, but he is trained to operate the rib boats, like what the SEALs use. So he's a driver.
Okay.
So he's going to be doing that kind of thing, I'm pretty sure.
Well, our thoughts and prayers and appreciation are with him.
Thank you.
Definitely. And that goes a long way with us. My son was in the Marines, and he's now in the Guard and an officer. So, you know, there's our side, which I'm not a vet. I was a criminal. But when we go into danger, it's fine. There's dad. But when it's our sons going into danger, it's a lot different. That makes the big difference. Don, introduce your guest.
Please.
Well,
I'm not a guest, but that's okay.
everybody, this is actually the CEO of Carnivora right here. This is Alan Kramer, my father. And you guys don't know, well, some of you know this, like the folks here in the chat and some of the folks that actually were part of yesterday's stream. But today he turned 78 years old.
Yes, sir. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy to be here anymore.
He wanted to be able to come spend a few minutes with you guys to let you know he's still here. He's trucking on, and that
I pretty much overcome what happened last year.
Yeah, he's, for a quick brief thing, he probably spent 4 months total out of the last year and a half hospitalized because of pneumonia and other lung issues. But here he is. He came back because he wants to see all this work.
Gotta keep him going.
We're glad he's back. I know last year was a rough year for you, and we're glad you're here.
It was
Well, Mr. Kramer, I just want to let you know a lot of people are wishing you a very happy and healthy birthday today in the chat room. Zara Kramer is in the room, and she's very happy to be here. She loves us all, of course.
Mom's in the room?
Yeah, she's in the room. So, I just want to let you know that.
Yeah, so a birthday cake is a Bavarian cream cake.
Nice, Bavarian.
Well, now I'm jealous.
We got marinated cherries in it.
Ooh.
Kirsch, which.
Well, you come on and made everybody jealous and hungry in the morning.
I had awesome. He had it. Was it last year or the year before? 2 years ago, and I had. It's equal parts. It'll wake you up because it's definitely marinated, and it's also just really, really tasty. One of these days, I'll get you some made, Scab.
Got to. That's a must. That's a must. Well, happy birthday. I'm glad you stopped by. That's awesome. Now, will you be at Blade Show this year?
No, I cannot.
Doctors won't let him.
No.
I got you.
Mom will be there, though.
Good.
Just a matter of with the respiratory issues I have, I cannot expose myself to the general population.
Well,
I'm not a bubble boy exactly, but I'm close enough.
You guys know how right here you have a Y pipe. This is your larynx. It comes down like that. Trachea. Yeah. So he's basically there's a hole here, and a hole here. And as it goes through, he's got mucus that's condensing it and closing it about 70-80% of the way on all three of the holes. So if he gets sick with some sort of respiratory thing, it can be a problem. And that's why he's not going to be able to go to Blake, because we can't take a chance, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it's our goal to meet you in person one day.
Well, come to Texas.
Well,
if you come to Blake, Dallas, I can probably get him up there.
That's on the docket for next year.
My nephew is my nephew and niece are in Texas. They're practicing dentistry in Texas. I may take you up on that one day. We'll see what happens.
Awesome. You're welcome.
I gotta visit them one day.
Get back to business.
All right. Love you, Pop.
Hey,
they're both in dentistry.
Happy birthday.
Did you say they were both in dentistry?
Yes. Yes. Well, I mean, obviously I'm in New York. We all started in New York, and they just started. They went to school in Texas and they ended up staying there, and they moved in. They just took a house there. They love it. They freaking love it there. They love it there. They don't miss.
Where are they in Texas?
You
know what? I'm an idiot. I don't remember, but someplace in Texas.
Gotcha. No worries.
I have a niece in Houston. Her husband's a veterinarian. But 2025, I'm crossing the Andes with my brother-in-law. We're doing that. And I'm coming to a couple of blade shows. Those are so I got to get off my ass and make this profitable. But we can talk all about that in a minute. Guys, we had you on for a specific reason.
Yeah.
And there was a failure. So we're not going to gloss over that. If we do that, then Joe and I have failed. So what we want to do is we want to talk about that. And then we want to talk about how you fixed it. And then we want to talk about how we're moving forward. And I'd like to do that. And obviously Carnivora is very, very special and near and dear to my heart. And I thought that this would be a good forum for that. And for you guys watching, what in the chat, for you guys in the chat that watch these things, what I'm going to ask you to do is this. If you have questions, ask them. But I also would ask you to be open-minded and really listen to some of what we're discussing. It's easy to jump on a bandwagon. It's very, very easy to do that. And we want answers, but let's be respectful with it. And I'm asking you. I'm not telling anyone anything. So let's address the first thing, because this was brought up in my video. And well, let's back up. Brock, you are the head of manufacturing now, correct?
As of the first of the year, yeah.
Okay. So then I think the biggest thing we need to discuss here is QC. Tell us a little bit of what you do in a QC sense that might answer some questions.
I'm really, really picky. And I will preface all this with saying I'm not perfect. There is always going to be things that I miss. In fact, I know Don, out of the ones I've already sent, has found a couple of little small things. But as far as quality control, every blade that we're going to do from here on out, at least for the foreseeable future, is going to pass through my hands. And if there's anything wrong with it, doesn't look right, it's either going to get fixed or replaced. Period.
So walk us through the build process. I think that would help.
Okay.
Step by step. I think that would help a lot too.
All right. So currently, and I'll just go over our current setup, and we have lots of plans for the future, but that doesn't really matter in the now. And so currently, what we're doing is we're having our designs laser cut by a company that's local to me. I've been working with them with my own knife business since I started. And they're going to do the laser cuts for us. And here shortly, they're also going to start doing milling work. milling in our fullers, and milling in the initial bevels. And that's the bevels that are going to be there prior to heat treat. Saves time on the back end. Grinding through hardened steel is a lot harder than non-hardened. So once they are done at Alcobra, the place that's going to cut them, they're going to come to me. I'm going to go through every single one, make sure that the profile is correct, make sure all the holes are the right size, make sure that everything's rounded where it needs to be rounded. Then it's going to go to heat treat. Small batches, I will do heat treat myself. I have 2 kilns, and I do everything to New Jersey steel bearing specs, unless otherwise asked for. But currently for a large batch, I have a local company that also is does metallurgy, and they are they can heat treat cars if needed. I mean, they're a huge company that just happens to be within 30 minutes of my house, and they do great work. They certify their heat treat and their temper, and so when I get the blades back, I have in writing, it's usually 3 Rockwell range of the hardness of those blades. Then they'll come back to me, and I'll start grinding on getting the profile correct, getting the edge down to where it needs to be, depending on the size of the blade and the design. Then after that, it's getting the handles ready. We're doing all bolt-on handles. Getting the handles ready, then putting the knife through the finish, getting everything put together, laser etched, marked, and then sharpen the hell out of it.
Okay.
And you do the sharpening yourself. Thank you.
I do the sharpening myself, but I use a Broadbeck sharpening system. It's a belt sharpening system. It goes up to, currently I'm going up to 1200 grit on everything, and then stropping. And so we're getting a mirror finish on the edge itself.
Yeah, the 2 that I got are sharp as shit. They really are.
I think it's.
And I think you and I discussed that. Lola, for God's sake. My dog's got one of those.
Every one of these are sharp.
Come on. So thank you for walking us through that. Now, Don, for you, here's what I'm saying, okay? And we all talked before the show, obviously. And the thing that I love about Don is his transparency, and he's taking this on the chin. And sometimes in life, we have to do that, and it sucks. But I commend you for doing that. Now, having said that, a lot of what I'm seeing is this, and Brock kind of touched on it, the little things. For the price point, the little things matter. So what are you doing, Don, to ensure that people are getting, they're getting what they're paying for? Essentially, that's what people are asking.
So there's a few things at play here. One, I kind of have to walk people through the history of Carnivora to fully explain this, and I'll keep it brief, guys, don't worry. But when we started, we were working with Shawnee at Shade Indonesia. Shawnee has a certain quality of fit and finish level that is absolutely superb, and there's a reason for that. That's because he is one of the heads of Indonesia's knife making guild. He is quite literally one of the best knife makers in Indonesia. And underneath him, he has some of the best in all of Indonesia as well, all working for him. So there was a quality precedent that was set there that not only justified the prices that we were charging, but also set what Carnivora and what I personally expected coming out of us quality-wise. And when we transitioned to try and come stateside, one of the things that we were trying to do was lower cost and price points. And that was one of the things that made Tim attractive, is because he was able to do things at a much lower cost for us. But unfortunately, folks, I'm sure you're familiar with the iron triangle, which is cost, quality, and time, right? And trying to figure out that balance. Well, with Tim, unfortunately, we were unable to get quality or time, really, because the cost was so low there. And he just wasn't able to stand up to that. But what are we doing? Well, first off, I've got all of these, right? I've got all of these right here. In the course of, I'd say, 60 days, since I want to say the 20th of December, Brock has either completed or gotten to the heat treat process, which means beveled, the initial bevels, roughly about 70 blades, including one, a sword that he spent close to 150 hours on now, our Anubis. So what are we doing to guarantee that? Well, number one, we're actually getting the products out the door. That was the first thing. We weren't getting product out the door. It's simple as that. I was lucky to get 1 or 2 a month out the door. But the first step was we had to get something out there. The second step was I had to have somebody who I knew that could guarantee those quality elements. One of the big things that we were asked for is, can we have screws? Can we have bolts? We upgraded to that instead of using the pins, because people want to be able to customize their knives.
Right.
We've done that. As you can see, the finish here, Brock does a stellar stonewash finish, and he's shown video of the process that he uses. It's top notch. But how am I guaranteeing everything? Well, I trusted Tim. I trusted him when he sent stuff out. And I didn't look at it beforehand because I needed it to get out the door, because I was scared, to be honest. I was scared because we weren't getting product out. And if he said it was done, I trusted him to say it was done, and it went out. And he sent me pictures, and you can't really tell what it is until you actually see it in hand in video and things like that. And that's not going to happen again. We have levels of redundancy in place where Brock, number one, is going to be our first line, obviously. He's going to look at everything, and if it doesn't fit his needs, it's obviously not going out. Once it makes it to me, if it doesn't fit my needs, I'm looking at each one of these. I literally have calipers. I'm measuring every little piece here along the blade. I'm looking at everything. I'm hand cleaning. For example, if it arrives with a little bit of dust on it, I'm going off and I'm spending time cleaning every single last one of these. If there's a little stickiness to it, I'm going off, I'm Windexing whatever is needed for it to make sure it's perfect, every single last element. And I'm doing that, not taking any money for it. I personally am not taking any salary. I'm not taking any money. Alan's not. Zara's not. The only person in the entire company right now who is getting paid besides the designers themselves is Brock.
And I'm not paying myself.
Well, yeah, he's getting, his company's getting paid, Woodson company. But the point is we're putting our money where our mouth is, and until this is course corrected, I'm not taking any profit. But I'm working 10 to 12 hours a day.
And one thing that I think that the general public really needs to understand about this whole situation is it came about because of the actions and the misrepresentation of one person who, literally misrepresented his abilities, the quality they can put out, and then also misrepresented people that he recommended to Carnivora to work for us to do other things. But the hole we're in was because faith was put in the wrong person. And
that's my fault. That's 100% my fault. And I accept that. And, one of the biggest things that I need to do while we're on here, though, is if you guys will grant me the ability to do that, I need to issue an apology to a singular individual. Do you mind, Joe?
Go right ahead, bud.
Okay. So the Mako project, this right here, in its original form, the one that went to Emler, was sponsored by a gentleman named Josiah Johnston. Josiah was a very good friend, and I say was because, you know, like Scott said, I lost relationships. And when he said I lost relationships, I lost friendships. I lost ones that I hold dear to my heart, and Josiah was one of those. I won't go into details about that other than I'm sorry, Josiah, and this is me from the bottom of my heart. You're going to get one of these, the right one. So is Michael Emler. And I know that I've lost that friendship, but I am going to right the wrong regardless. And I'm sorry.
And so now, since we've gone there, I want people to understand this too. Josiah bought the knife for Emler.
Yeah.
And here's what's going to happen, because I said this in my video in a minute. Michael and I have talked over probably the past 2 or 3 weeks, month. I've sent him some knives. He sent me some. So when he gets his Mako, I'm going to have him on here, and whatever the reaction is, the reaction is. I think at this point, everything needs to be transparent and it needs to be made clear. And the thing that's clear is Josiah paid for those knives.
Correct.
Correct?
He
Okay.
paid for one. He paid, and the thing is there was a misunderstanding. This is something I can talk about. There was a misunderstanding, a miscommunication on my part. I was sending him I thought I was sending him a prototype. He thought I was sending him a production model, like an end result production model. And I didn't make that clear at all. And that hurt his relationship with other individuals because of that miscommunication. And so at this point, though, what will go to Emler is the same thing we would ship out to anyone else who orders one of these. And it's, you know, it's not one of these necessarily because these are here with me, but in Brock's wanting to do one that he can personally ship out himself. And
So
one thing
shipped out.
Let me jump in here, guys. Let me jump right here. Brock, where are you at? What state?
What's that? Where am I at?
state?
I'm in Spokane, Washington. So I'm on the east side of Washington State, right by Idaho.
Okay. Here's what one thing I do. I think Don and Brock is essential to do. I am a function guy, and that's what I do. Joe is a cinematographic guy. One of those Makos need to go to Joe, and I'm going to tell you why. Not the key, but shooting video, and here's why. In my video, when I showed this knife, there were a couple guys said, well, the grinds are off, this, that. The grinds are not off. I'm shooting from a phone, and I'm going to until I hit 100K. And nothing against Lachlan. I like the guy a lot. He's been a great subscriber. And he was saying it, you know, hey, this is what I see, and I understand that, but I'm shooting this from a phone. And this knife, it really should be professionally shot so that you could get an idea. Because I'm looking at it, Brock, and the grinds are even from tip to here. Everything's even, everything's symmetrical. You know, so I would like to see that to get a better visual out there. And the thing that everybody needs to remember is this, you know, you guys, regardless of who is responsible for what, you guys are in this hole together. It's Don and Brock and Alan and Zara. You're the ones in the foxhole now. You're the ones coming out. So as hard as it is at times, and I know me personally, to say, hey, this happened and I'm moving forward, I think you guys are doing a good job. You know, Don and I talked yesterday, and there's always forgiveness, but you don't, you know, the old saying, forgive and forget, that's foolish. You don't forget. You forget, you rehash, and you recycle. So I understand the forgiveness, but I'd like to see them moving forward, and I think you guys are doing that. Brock's going at a monster pace. What we're going to do from here, what I would like to do from here, is throw out some things to both of you guys that I get for feedback, and then y'all can rotate answer. Okay. One thing was this, you guys have 1 million designs.
Yeah.
Have you thought about condensing it down to a lineup, say 8 to 10 blades? We're going to do these blades. These are going to be Carnivora blades, and then have a custom side.
So I can feel this one. That's because that's actually integral to the identity of Carnivora. Something that a lot of folks don't really truly get, and it's not their fault necessarily. It's just, I haven't sent this messaging out a lot in the last 8 to 10 months because I've been focused on Dad while he was sick.
Yep.
And it's that we're a research and development house first and foremost. Above all else, we are sitting here trying to push boundaries, push the edge, if you will, of knife design. And in doing so, we get thousands, and I'm saying thousands of knife designers and designs and things that come to us. But out of those, it's my job as the lead designer to pare all of those down and decide whether or not it fits into one of 3 categories: a full custom that somebody might decide they want to buy, which we've had people do that; a semi-custom, which would be made to order only, which means it's on the website and it's there for people to order if they want to, or we'll maybe pepper those in as sometimes releases. Like every once in a while, we want to do something fancy with our drops, and we can add something that's really cool that's on the website that isn't usually immediately available. Or the third one, which is a production class knife. So examples of that are our Mako. Here we go. The Noah, the Jaguar, the Leopard, and Brock has this one. The Carolina Reaper will be one. And we've got roughly about 8 to 10 of them that we have chosen and identified and dialed in. After feedback from Al Cobra, after feedback from Brock, after feedback from 3 different blade shows worth of people meeting and actually showing off these knives. Like, for example, at Blade Show 2023, when we had our table, I had over 3,500 people visit that table and give me candid feedback. They like this, they don't like that, they like these colors. I mean, and I'm writing this stuff down. And because, again, we're research and development. That's the big thing. We have to figure out what customers actually want so that we can disseminate that information to other companies like Work Tough Gear, our designers, our people, and so on and so forth. And so, yes, we are paring it down to a group of 8 to 10 that will be regularly available and in both drops on the website and also at blade shows and things like that. But we're also going to have some of those made to orders. But as of last night, I pulled 8 different items off the website because they are either A, not feasible in a timely manner, B, require too much work to dial in further to be allowed on the website, or C, they need to be retired because we've already sold a certain amount of them and I feel like their life cycle is done. And so we take that into account. And a lot of folks, they want us to be a Benchmade. They want us to be a Work Tough Gear, even, whatever. They want us to go off and only do the 8 to 10 models, but that constricts our freedom as a research company. That constricts our freedom for customs and things like that. Even Zombie Tools and Tops likes being able to do customs, And
the thing, though, listen. Here's the thing: you can certainly do what you want, okay?
Yeah.
But the thing is, Don, you're a creative guy. You are, and I say that as a positive. You're a go guy. And what happens is the message gets missed. See, when you're talking, because I know you, we've met, we've shared, and we've had hours of discussions. I know the message, but what happens, man, is your brain gets going and you shotgun it, and people go, I think sometimes it becomes sensory overload. Now, question for Brock, feeding off what you said, Brock, as a maker, does it get a bit overwhelming when you go, okay, here's Don's vision, I got to make it happen, Or is it like, okay, challenge accepted, we go from here?
All right. I'm always the challenge accepted kind of guy. I will tell you if I don't think I'm going to complete it or I'm going to mess it up, I'm still going to try.
Yeah.
So I have my little cheat sheet of all our designs. And when I look at this sheet, I see, yeah, there's a lot of knives. But I see a lot of knives that are in prototype that we want to see what the market thinks about. We want to see what our other designers think about it and see if somebody actually wants to buy that design. And if they do, we make the blade and we wait for feedback from them. We are still making prototypes, of course, of these blades, but I think that just sticking to, like you're saying, 8-10 designs would really hurt us in the long run, because the goal of the company is to constantly improve and constantly be making our designs better. And that does mean dropping off designs and, scratching them all together to come up with something that ultimately works better. We have one of the things that's cool about what we're doing, and this is kind of what I did, with my own company as well, is people would come to me and say, hey, I've got this idea for this knife. I just don't know how to make it happen. All right, cool. Let's sit down. We'll go back and forth and we will figure it out. We'll make a design, then we'll make a prototype and get it to you and see what you think. That's kind of where, I see this going. And then when that person says, oh yeah, I love this prototype. Can we get 10 made and see how they sell? Cool. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay. So okay. So if I like a prototype and I want 10 made, what's my turnaround time? Because that's probably what people here's what people let me tell you what the issue is. Because I can tell you, because I hear it every day. Turnaround time, inventory. We live in a now society. If I show a knife on this channel, and I'm telling you, every damn video there's, and I don't blame you. Hey man, it's not in stock. Hey man, how fast? So what's the turnaround time, Brock? If say I texted you, I said, Brock, I love this Mako. I love how it is. Make me 10 of them. When can I expect those knives?
Currently, if you came to me and said, hey, make me 10 of these right now, I'd be like, talk to me after Blade. And that's simply because I've got over 6 months of backlog from our previous production manager to get us caught up. I have lofty goals to get us caught up well before Blade. So I can also have stock made for Blade, a significant amount of stock made for Blade. And so we can start stocking the website. As far as lead time on custom orders, I don't even know at this very moment, and that's just because this all is so fresh, and realistically, I didn't hit the ground fully running until the first of the year on this, and we've got a lot of great headway. But I don't think I'm yet in a position to say I know exactly what the lead time would be on 10 Makos. Eventually, what my goal is, I've got a pile of mini Dragoths over here. And they are, they're heat treated, they're ground, and they're sandblasted. They are ready for handle material. They're almost ready to go. I would say they're 75%, right?
Okay.
So my goal is to have a bunch of blades in this, form at least. So when I have a customer say, hey, I want, 2 minis in black handles. All right, give me 2 weeks or whatever it's going to be, where my lead time that time is. I can put the handles on, do the finish, and throw it out the door. So, we want to be able to have customized products, and we also want to have some backstock.
Well, I didn't see this when I did my video, but here on the handle, there's no way you're going to be able to see it. but it's done very well. You've got laser etching 2024, and then I'm thinking the number, this is 0017.
Yep.
And then on the inside, you've got your steel type 80 CRV2. So, Joe, do you got any questions? Here, put it up. See if y'all can see that.
You can sort of see it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my again, guys, I'm shooting from a phone. The thing is this, and that's why too, like when you do things like this, and one thing I'm seeing in like the knife review community, it takes a couple of different folks showing. Like where Joe's set up to show, he could show you a gnat's ass. He's got the gear. He's got the equipment.
It's actually scary detail. It's too much detail.
Yeah, it's but you need that. But looking at it here, and Tucker's fixing to interrupt, so I'll make it quick. This is the Carnivora is playing. There's a Carnivora logo here. Shut up, Tucker. Got the steel type. Everything looks good. Now, Brock, this is a proprietary finish. Talk to us about that.
I mean, I don't do proprietary.
Okay.
I don't hold secrets. And that's been a rule as a maker since I started. Because, and this is kind of a little bit backstory about me. When I first got into this, I didn't have bladesmiths around me. I didn't have anybody to go to. And so I'm mostly self-taught. I had some help from Jason Knight, but I was already in making by the time I got to him. And one of the biggest frustrations I had is I would go to a bladesmith and be like, hey, stupid question. What temperature do I forge this type of steel at? Because I can't find anything on it. Or what's the name of this so I have a better way to look? You just need to Google it, figure it out. You need to do the work. You need to figure it out. That's garbage. My thing is, one of the biggest problems as makers, and this goes back into history, is not sharing techniques because they get lost. You know, yeah, bladesmiths, we're technically all in the same field. We're technically all competing against each other, but we're not.
Yeah.
And,
True.
You know, so sharing that knowledge keeps it going. So when somebody says, you know, how do you do your finish, I'll answer. When somebody says, hey, how do you make your death kumai, or how do you do this? You know, I will explain it to them. No problem. Now, for the finish, I put it in a 50-50 mixture of ferrochloride. So it's really hot. I put them in there for 18 to 20 minutes and neutralize them, throw them right into the vibratory tumbler until they get the look I want. And I've got the vibratory tumbler instead of using water or anything, I use WD-40. So they don't get any kind of rust as they're tumbling. Right. And they come out nice and smooth. So, but it's nothing that's crazy.
The finish on both of these, two different sizes, but the finish is damn even on both. And I'm talking about from one knife to the other. It's very clean. And it matches. You could say this is a set of knives, if that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. It's done in a manner. Where you can see the consistent work, and I like that. I do have one request.
Is important, and that
I do have one request.
Yes, go ahead.
One request. I've never asked anything. Can we cut this damn thing off?
That's already in the works.
That's already removed.
The only reason that's there on those is because if I did it on that design, it would look stupid.
Now, here's what so I'm thinking it's for this, correct?
Right. The newer design of the Mako does not have that thumb ramp on there, and I would have cut them off of those. Those were already cut before I came on board. I would have cut those off there, and Don and I talked about it, but it just wouldn't be feasible with that hole there.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I like the jimping. My hands are about dead from a lifetime of stupid choices. So when it's aggressive, it's like I don't feel it as much as some would, but I like the aggressiveness of the jimping. I like that style. And I can see exactly, Brock, one thing about me, when I do a knife review, like Joe does his homework, he does his research, he'll know your kid's name, he does all that. And that's what makes him Joe. That's why people watch his stuff. With me, I don't want to know shit, but I want to figure it out for myself. It's just the style. So if I get something like this doesn't bother me. It doesn't, because I'm going to play with it. I'm going to figure out, and that's what I've always kind of enjoyed about Don's designs. It's a challenge. Hey, what's he thinking here?
Right.
You know, but then we have to look at it from, a business standpoint. And I, people are like, hey man, that thing would be awesome without that. And I get it. So I like the fact that you guys are willing to change it up. I see the point of it, but for me, I always like going with more of a fencing grip. You know what I'm saying? So if this was mine, I'd just take a Dremel and whittle it down because I trust the heat treat on it. And we live in a day now where anybody sees a hole and they call it a weak spot. It's not a weak spot. If it's heat treated correctly, there's nothing weak about it. But it's the day we live.
Yeah. And I, like I said, I wanted to remove those. That hole it would have looked funny with that hole in that spot. And so I told Don, we're just going to, on the next set we'll have it done.
Yeah, we migrate
new
to
design.
So to give everybody can see this, right? Quick, brief understanding. This gets lopped off, right?
Bring him up.
And then, okay. So we're going to end up lopping this chunk off the, as folks have called it, the Emers W. Because the whole reason why I want it to be how it's going to be is so that you can hold it like this. Because if you want to plane it, this is digging into you. I put that there as a safeguard for when you're stabbing. But in reality, you don't necessarily, this needs to be more than a stabber. It needs to be a processor in any format that you want to do. And if you're putting it there, that's going to dig into your thumb there. So what we've done, since we still want to have the jimping, we now have it right here along this harpoon hump. It goes from about here to about right there, to about right there. And so it's going to be just as aggressive there, but it'll allow you to have that grip that you were mentioning, Scott. That's what I prefer. And it's nice and tight. You don't have to deal with this. And we've gone off so that this part right here, from over here all the way back to the handle, it's all one continuous seamless line. And it flows perfectly as a curve. Now, one other thing that I don't like, this bothers me, this back end, how we have the pommel. Yes, you can go whack with it, but at the same time, it doesn't function aesthetically. It just does not look as good as it could. So what we've done is we've carved off this portion of this here, and we've actually made the mechanical stop back here stronger. So on the withdraw, it's not going to slip as easy, because as you can see, it still slips, and I don't want it to slip. It can't, especially because the whole point of the Mako project was for active duty individuals in war zones. I want them to have a knife that's durable, that's good, that works well, and that when they're doing things, they're not going to hurt themselves. Because, let's be honest, we do a lot of stupid shit with our knives. And soldiers and whatnot are no different. In fact, they might do more stupid shit just because they get bored. And I don't want them to hurt themselves with it. I want this to be the thing that saves their lives, not ends it, And so one thing that folks, I want them to know is we are always innovating, always adjusting, always taking feedback. If you don't like something, let me know, and let me know why. And then I'll take that into account when we're doing our adjustments. And not everything makes it, but obviously that the new Mako is proof positive that we do listen to the community. We lopped this off, we made it stronger there, got rid of that, added some jimping there. I like it. We're community focused and we're collaborative. We want people to engage.
Now, Don, I just want to bring up something because Zeke is in the chat, Hooligan Zeke, and I respect the hell out of that guy. He made actually a pretty good point. he said, you know, you should always be refining and then recommitting to the design process. Nothing is a scared cow in a knife world if it works, which is cool, which is true, you know.
That's exactly how I believe. And you know, to touch back on something that Brock had mentioned about the whole nothing's a secret, and as there's no proprietary at Carnivora. I don't like proprietary. When I was getting into the games industry prior to this, I would go to forums and other places where they're supposed to teach you these things: how to make this asset, how to do a texture, how to create this graphic. Nobody wanted to do it. Do you know why? Because they were scared. They thought, and I quote, that if we tell you how to do this, you become a threat to our job. Mm-hmm. Nobody's a threat to us. I'm not a threat to them. You are other designers, other makers are potential dance partners to me. People that I get a chance to make a knife with and learn more about them and maybe make a friend. That's how we see it. And so, like, nothing's a secret here. I want to be as transparent as possible about everything. And that's why I have an open door policy. You have a question, shoot us an email, and I'm not going to bullshit you. You're going to get the unvarnished truth. I'm not going to be an asshole about it, but I'm just going to tell you how it is. If we mess up, we mess up. We own up to it, and we move on, and we do our best to make sure it doesn't happen again. But if you want to know how these things are made, just ask us. You know, you want to know what my design theory is? I sit there and I teach my designers all I can. I learn and I study from them, and I'll be happy to teach classes for free if somebody wants to learn how to design stuff. Everything I've learned, it's not a secret. Just realize we're here to elevate and unite and bring people together under a united passion. We love these things, and I love these things. You know, and like, this is what I want to spend the rest of my life doing, is making this stuff or designing this stuff alongside of Brock, you know. And I just, don't be afraid to ask questions, you guys. Don't be afraid to come to us. And if you can't reach me, ask Scott, ask Joe. They will relay to me. Like, for example, the gentleman who was saying he didn't get any messages about his Anubis, I now have his phone number, so I can text him, and I'm going to be texting him after this, so I can tell him about the Anubis that we'll have at Blade versus his Anubis versus the other one we've got. We've got 3 Anubises in the pipeline. In fact, Brock, you want to show him something cool?
It's still on the coffee etch.
Holy crap. Oh, that's beautiful.
Oh, wow.
So it is it's a Samm Damascus core, hard layer Damascus core,
Nice.
hard layer Damascus jacket each side with a brass shims. Now I'm blacking out the blade as much as I can on purpose, because at Blade, I know the lights are going to be really bright, right? And I want people, as they're walking up to it, to see that gold line outlining that blade. And when they get close, go, oh, damn, that's freaking Damascus. It's just blacked out. It's just something I want that looks a little different and hopefully sets us apart.
That's why I'm a big fan of Sandmai too. I like that. That's nice.
To clarify, that one is not for you. And by you,
yeah.
I mean, Robert, that one is a very special version. We're pulling all the bells and whistles. He's even got a jewel crafter that he knows on board to do some work with it that is going to be top notch. I mean, this is a showstopper that we want to be. We're going to have a booth at Blade. We want to, you know, have a reason to have a booth. We want to show what Brock can do, so that people understand that we're not here. Yes, we're here to play in the sandbox, but we're here to take it seriously, and he will deliver.
Well, I think what I've learned coming through this live is this: from a YouTuber, and sometimes, you know, you're just a YouTuber, and that's fine. But the messaging kind of needs to change here. You're not a Tops, you're not a Work Tough Gear, you're not, you know, you're not any of them, and you're not striving to be.
No.
Other than you know, emulate success. That's always great. But I think what needs to happen here is you're a custom house who's going to offer some models in stock, but and I would encourage you to have, even if you have 5 or 10 of a couple models, realizing that yes, they go away, yes, blah blah blah. But it happens when somebody wants to put, hands on a blade. But I think the messaging should be here: you're a custom house in a research and development. And see, when you guys started off, Don, it was making fantasy functional. That was the monster push. That was coming out of the gate. So when we come out of the gate with that, there's still that underlying tone where we have to now change that. Yeah, we can make, because as soon as somebody hears fantasy, as soon as they hear it, some will disregard. Some's all about it, and that's just the subjectivity of knife world. So,
See, I think
I just think we'll change it a little bit.
Yeah, and I think I see it as being a little different than that going forward. I don't think we're going to have, and right now I am so laser focused on the immediate, so it's kind of hard for me to look forward. That's why it's kind of hard for me to say what our lead time or anything is going to be at, because I am so focused on just getting us caught up. But I think in the future, the real goal, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Don, is going to be to have a backstock of the knives that we have listed on the website. But that knife that you buy on the website doesn't mean that same model is going to be there a year down the road.
Right.
It may not be popular, or it may get popular, and Don goes, "Hey, let's order 10, or let's order 100, not just 10 this time." Something like that.
And Scott, do you remember when I was working with Shawnee, and one of the first, how we structured it is this run, once this run is over, this knife will never be made again, right?
Yeah.
That's the life cycle that I mentioned earlier. When something hits a life cycle, for example, our Thor 1 by Jeremy Boulder Valentine has hit the end of its life cycle because we want to iterate and make the Thor 2. We want to make something really, really amazing that takes all the feedback that we got from the first one into account and push that out there. But in order to do that, we have to honor the fact that all of these knives have a life cycle. I'm not looking to sell 1,000 of the same knife. I'm not looking to sell, it may be 500 of the same knife in some cases, because that's what WorkTough does. That's what Tops does. Their goal is mass production. I want to give mass production quality to, the first 500 people who believe in the Mako, for example. And then eventually when we might have a new version of the Mako, or we might just retire it altogether. That's the whole point, is that we are still making fantasy functional, but we're at a new stage where how do we simplify something that started out super fantastical and neat into something so streamlined that it could fit on a production line very easily and be reproduced very easily, and we can guarantee that it's going to be the quality it needs to be, And when I look at things, I look at with Shawnee, we were having 6 to 9 month turnaround, and that was if I had an order of 10. With Brock, he got me, how many of these did you do? What, 13, 14, 15 of these?
17 so far.
17?
Wait. Something like, I can't remember.
2 months. 17 of just these. That's not counting, 15 or 20 of these things, and and we've also got a pile waiting for heat treat. That's another 30. I mean, that's the thing, is we want to be capable of delivering that quality, that quantity, but also, you're right. We, more than anything, we're semi-custom and custom, because what carries us is our customs mostly, and what gets people interested in wanting to own a piece of the Carnivora stuff is how cool our customs are and how cool the stuff we did with Shawnee was. And, this needs to be an affordable extension of that custom experience. That's really the goal. And I think that I'm going to have to go back to nuts and bolts on the messaging so that I can figure out how to communicate that to everybody so that they understand that this right here, for example, this exact edition of the Mako, we only have maybe 5 or 6 more of these that will ever be available, and they're limited. Once that's done, it's done.
But the Mako itself is going to be made in a different version. Correct. And that's really what we need to figure out how to explain that it's iterative, that we're constantly iterating, we're constantly adjusting, because that's the whole point of research and development. You got to figure out, as Zeke said, you have to be willing to go back to get to the bottom of the design and reinvent the whole thing from scratch. And you have to accept the consequences of that. For example, I have to accept that this was a cool looking design, but it's not nearly as functional as it can be. And that's why we have the Gen 3, because we take all that feedback that we get from everybody and we try to make it better. Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Joseph?
And by doing these small batches, or smaller batches than say tops, it's not going to take us as long to get to that next design.
Yeah. Well, the main thing is this, and I've said it, and I'll say it again. We live in a day and an age right now. We're at that price point. We live in a now situation. So you're going after a niche market. Okay. That's what it sounds like to me, period. That's great. And I am for it 100%. So I think what people want to know is if they order a knife with you today, Don, now I know you can't give, but see, that's part of the frustration. It's part of the frustration with Work to Gear, Survive Knives, with a lot of companies now, post-COVID. I think at some point, after Blade, you guys sit back down and go, and we'll have you on and go, okay, let's look at our times, because that's what people want, price and then timing.
I think we'll have the times more figured out the closer we get to Blade.
Yeah. Well, and I know you're in a hole, and that's the biggest thing here. We're understanding that, hey, you're fighting your way out.
Scott, I something that I told you that you wanted me to mention. All right, guys, everybody who's listening, we have 3 types of things that we're doing right now. We have backlog that we're eating through. We have to provide product that we can put on the website so that you guys can actually buy something. And we have to get prepped for Blade Atlanta. All in 6. We have technically a year's worth of backlog that Brock is eating through, on top of having to get stuff on the website, on top of having to prep for Blade Atlanta, on top of the potential orders that may or may not come in once we get some of the backlog taken care of, which that's an astronomical amount of work. And Brock has pulled off, let me tell you guys this, we're at 34% complete of that backlog. Complete. We have at least 90% of the remaining backlog at some stage of production, and over half of that is at about the 50% mark. It's nuts what Brock has been able to accomplish. I mean, like, I have cried so many times, and I'm man enough to admit that I have just cried flat out, because going from getting 1 blade in a month maybe to suddenly Brock is shipping me packages with 20 or 30 in them out of nowhere, it's hard to wrap my head around. But I just want you to know that I have all the confidence in the world in Brock, and I hope you guys do too.
Well, here's 2 things we need to.
I agree with you. Thank you.
Here's 2 things we need to mention before we start wrapping it up. One is, Don, how much in refunds have you given back?
Holy shit. Okay, so
quick answer.
Altogether, $6,000. It was $4,500 that was just in backlog orders. And that's the big thing is somebody asked me, sorry, you wanted a quick answer. Go ahead.
No, and I'll tell you why. Not to cut you off, because we talked about this before the show.
Yeah.
The money, the question's been this. Well, one, there's a fallacy that a shit ton of knives went out wrong. That's not true at all. It was a small number of knives that went out wrong. 3 knives went out wrong. Now, overall quality has improved, but there's only 3 knives. So you've given $6,000 in refunds. and you've been willing to replace poor knives. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Because standing behind your work is bigger than all of this.
So
And
that's
Brock's
the
having to
thing.
stand behind somebody else's work, which makes it even more tough.
You know, and I'm okay with it. And I'm okay with that because I want to make sure that Carnivora succeeds and that our customers especially get what they deserve. You know, not just about what they want, but what they actually deserve to get, you know, and that whole situation with Tim sucks. And I mean, I've got, so Noah project, this is the Noah knife. And this is one of the first blades I saw of Tim's. Now, if you will look at that fuller or the grinds, now I was told this was a finished quality blade. When I saw this, I went, no, that is not finished quality unless you're planning on just throwing it away. You know, stuff like this happened, and it seemingly happened really quick. And, you know, it's going to take us a while to fix it. But honestly, when that video, when I saw that video Mike put out, I laughed and smiled. I thought it was awesome. And I told, you know, Dawn, that's great. I'm glad that video went out. I'm glad that, you know, the public was able to see how bad things really were at that given time. Because Carnivora went from really great, and then we switched to a different way of making, and we just picked the wrong person.
Right.
And we put our faith in the wrong person. That happens. You know, and so I'm here, I'm going to make that right. And even though that does mean fixing someone else's work, it's okay. Because in the long run, I'm not worried about what that person built or did. I'm worried about what the customer is going to get.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what matters in all of it. What's done is done.
Yep.
Moving forward is the thing.
You know, there's actually a gentleman, he posted on your video, Scott, mentioning that 2 out of those 3 knives, he's one of the customers. He received the replacement knives, got some Kydex work from one of our designers that also does Kydex work and everything, but he's happy. In fact, he's taking him out on a hike today with his partner, and the 2 of them are happy as peas in a pod with these knives. And so our goal is, if you got a problem with them, let us know, because we can't fix it if we don't know, obviously. Yeah. Like, if you have a problem, and if it's a legitimate problem, you know, just send it to us. We'll get it fixed. Now, one thing that I do want to reiterate, we have a lifetime warranty. You go off and you break this thing in half, I'm going to find a way to make sure you get a brand new one. Even if you want this silly little wave that's going here, you'll either get upgraded to the new model, or we'll figure something out for them. You know, like, it is what it is.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because listen, practicing in the States, that's one thing that people look for. And I'm actually going to try to help closing this off too. First of all, actually, before I even get into that, Scab, you know Swedish Pete? I think it's from your channel, but he gave this really nice donation. So I just wanted to
Pete, thank you, buddy.
Yeah, that's very nice of you, man. Thanks, Pete. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Thank you.
Being in the States, people demand a certain type of quality.
Mm-hmm.
People demand transparency, and people demand customer service, and people demand that lifetime warranty. That's what people look for.
Oh, and also on the transparency side. So I mentioned earlier we have a TikTok page, right? And I named it Carnivora Production. My thought, and I probably am also going to do this on YouTube, depending on which way TikTok goes this year. I want to be able to set up a live stream for when I'm working on Carnivora products, or, you know, when I'm working on a specific customer's product and they've said, hey, I really would like to be able to see what you're doing. set up the camera and I'm gonna just let it play, and just let it record the whole time. That's my goal. I'm not there yet, but I want to make it so that transparency is always there, and the customer can say, oh wait, I can go watch the video of it being made. All right, awesome. Now I know what actually happened.
Yeah,
I like it.
And without saying, I think DJ Horn, thanks for coming in, buddy. Quality. I mean, yes, absolutely. Quality is people demand quality. I mean, they want to make sure that you're going to put your best feet forward. You're going to put quality as forefront. You're going to put customer service as a main goal, and just basically have that after sales support there. Yeah. And I think if you kind of try to put those aspects in play, I think you guys will be great. You'll be fine because you guys have great designs and you have a great work ethic. I mean, there's no question as far as anyone watching this live knowing that you guys have a great work ethic. Brock, I can see basically your passion in what you're doing. I can see how you kind of put your perspective and what you're looking at. And I like, I really was liking what I heard from you. Don, we know you. We know how passionate you are about this business. Glad to see Dad there as well. I mean, at the helm, and he's probably he's got the whip going. I know he's got the whip going in the back.
Oh, he does.
Making sure, like, listen, get this shit going.
I get one sale. I get one sale. Okay, go get another. I get another. Okay, get 10 more.
Now go get 10.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's just listen, and SCAB says it all the time. Knives is subjective. Yep. So it in somebody's hand, it's going to be different. It's going to be different type. It's just a matter of just keeping and I like the handmade finish too. I like the handmade feel to the knives as well, but just making sure that the fit and finish is there. There's no hot spots. Everything it's comfortable in as many hands as possible. And the knives are going to basically serve a purpose. Like you said, you know what? You take this thing out, and now you have a knife that can serve so many other different purposes.
Yep.
So, given that in play, I think that's going to make a lot more people happy. But getting back, I love the research and development type of look to what you're doing, and I agree with it. But just also having a couple production knives, just to say, listen, these knives are doing well, and it's like, listen, I'm in the sword world. I love swords. So now, the knife world, everybody is impatient. But people should understand the sword world. If you want to go to get a great sword, you're going to wait about a year and a half.
I will tell you, all of our sword customers, or all of our customers that come from swords, if we get something to them in 6 months, their brains just go boom. And we've done that in the past, like with Shawnee. Yeah. And it just, so that's, and Brock also is really, really good with swords, just as he is really, really good with kitchen knives and everything. And so,
modern katana, Brock. Modern katana. What do you say? I want a modern style katana.
We'll have one at Blade, the Nekomata. We will.
Which blade?
Our Nekomata.
Okay.
Now you have one that you wanted to be able to bring to the table. Let us know.
I always have things in mind, but we'll talk about that.
One thing you need to have at Blade in Atlanta, and I'll help you with this, we need to have some cutting materials at the booth and have some cutting demonstrations. It will set you apart and it'll show the knives work. You need to have it.
Can we get a bunch of the that strapping they use for semi-truck loads?
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. I'll help you with it. We'll come up. But I think when people see it working.
Yes, that's a good idea.
It just sets you apart.
That was the big thing with the table last year. Number one, I was manning it myself because Tim had a massive Crohn's attack and was in the bathroom at the hotel literally most of the weekend. And so I couldn't really do anything like that. And two, the knives weren't sharp. They flat out were not sharp. And I couldn't demo them. So
well,
I'm going to leave it at that.
Again, these are things that happen. Let's move forward. We know it'll be sharp. We're going to be at Blade in Atlanta. So I have zero problem coming by. I'll help you with it. We can film it if you'd like. but that way people can pick it up. Now, I don't recommend letting people pick up knives and just start cutting, because there's a monster liability fan there.
Yeah.
But if somebody wants to walk up to the table and, like, say, for instance, I want to see what that one can do, then we can, Brock certainly can, I'll come by, Joe, whatever, and we can facilitate that. Or another YouTuber, Jacob.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Jacob's gonna come over.
Yeah, hands on, and do that. Joe, we've gone long, and I've enjoyed it. I'm gonna let Joe wrap it up, but I want to say this. I love you both. I'm impressed with both of you. I appreciate your candor and taking it on the chin. I'm pulling for you, and I've learned a lot. I really have learned a lot more and had a little better understanding through this live, which I appreciate. It's always good to see him, Mr. Allen. Happy birthday to him. Joseph, take us home.
Guys, first and foremost, listen, everyone in the chat room, I appreciate you guys being here. We have DJ Horn, Hooligan Zeke. We got a lot of the makers and shakers in the room today, which is good. Jimbo, great to see you, buddy. I have to come down to Florida to see you, buddy. I think I miss you a little bit more than I miss SCAB. So just to let you know that, just keep that between us. Keep that between us. But thanks for everyone being in the room. Guys, listen, I'm equally as impressed. I learned a lot from you guys as well. I didn't know what to expect with this, but lives like this and openness like this is what we all need. I mean, listen, we say it about in YouTube that there should be conversation should always be going. We should always have conversations and be open with each other. And that's pretty much the key to keeping our industry going and keeping it strong. And I appreciate you guys being as open as you guys are and releasing everything that you're talking about. And moving forward, listen, hoorah for Carnivora. I mean, we all want you to succeed. We have a big belief in your company. And we love what you guys, are going to be bringing to the table. And we're looking forward to blade shows. We're looking forward to what you guys are going to be coming up with, your stock stuff, and moving forward. And so I thank you guys. And obviously, that Blade Talk can always be your forum. If we ever have to do this again, you guys are always welcome.
Can I add one thing?
Sure.
Just for the viewers, if you haven't watched that video that we were talking about that Michael Emler did, please go watch it, because I want everybody to see where we came from to compare where we are now.
I'll try to put a link, if I remember, I'll try to put a link in the live. And if you can on your end, SCAB, on your post, try to put a link to his video. And this way, if people watch this later on, they can go back and take a look at that video. So this way, you guys at least know where this is all coming from. Because if you haven't watched that video, you're probably a little confused. So definitely watch that video too.
That's what I'm saying. Go watch it, and you'll know.
Yeah. And Mike, no charge for the plug on your video, guy. All right, but
you already got 100,000.
You don't have 100,000. You might as well get another freaking 50,000, whatever. But all good. Listen, Super Bowl Sunday. I know everybody's got plans to be with friends and family, and everybody's going to get together with the boys. I wish you guys a great time. I hope your team does well. We won't get into into teams right now, but I hope you guys enjoy it, guys. Thanks, Brock. Great to meet you. Hopefully, a lot of business in the future. Don, always a pleasure, my friend. SCAB, I love you, brother. And everyone in the room, thank you for joining us. And guys, stay in before I come out when I end stream. But have a great Sunday, guys. Enjoy. Thanks for joining us. And hope to see you soon on the next Blade Talk. Have a good one, guys. Ciao.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Later, guys.